right, let's raise our IQ points by about 1,000 because our very own country boy, J.D. Vance, just a small-town Appalachia country boy, right? Drinking lemonade on the porch, right? Bad dental work, Mountain Dew on a regular basis, Uncle Ben's on the stove, just a simple country boy.
Love him, Meemaw.
Not a venture capitalist who spent the greater part of his 20s ripping off the people that he previously lived with.
Allegedly.
He was on a podcast about 4 years ago with Eric Weinstein. Now, Eric Weinstein was a professor at Evergreen College, local guy.
Okay.
And he was kicked out of that college because he and his wife, it's actually a really sad scenario. There was a day up at Evergreen in which the Black Student Union said, we're going to have a no white people day. And Eric rightfully said, I'm not playing along with that. I'm going to go and I'm going to teach. And he was received death threats as a result of that. And he eventually left Evergreen College. It's really quite very sad. And then after that, what he chose to do with that grief and that sadness around being kicked out of academia is he decided to become a right-wing grifter podcaster and basically a fascist in the worst way possible. So, and also desperate for attention. He's become kind of a pick-me girl, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's sad.
Desperate for attention. So he starts a podcast with his lovely wife. And about 4 years ago, they were talking to J.D. Vance. And they start talking about postmenopausal women. Nobody thought anything about it. And now the Democrats have pulled this forward and released it to the media as Oppo research. And I think it's important to talk about because there's a trend on the internet that has to do with the way that certain MAGA people think about the way that the country should look. And this is a small piece of it. Let's hear it, Laura.
They spoil him. There's sort of all the classic stuff that grandparents do to grandchildren. But it makes him a much better human being to have exposure to his grandparents.
Well, I don't know.
And the evidence on this, by the way, is like super clear.
That's the whole purpose of the postmenopausal female in theory.
So the postmenopausal women, basically what he's saying is that women, grandmothers and grandfathers, specifically grandmothers, need to be in their grandchildren's lives because they're postmenopausal, because they are able to facilitate child rearing in a way that the menstruating woman cannot.
Wow. Now, but the whole purpose is the key. That's the key turn here, right?
The whole purpose is the key.
The whole purpose. Their only real value.
That is something that's called biological essentialism, which is an offshoot of something called utilitarianism.
Okay.
Utilitarianism is that something is good as long as it's useful.
That I understand.
All right.
Yeah.
So biological essentialism is a very rudimentary and broken way of looking at the world, which is why is it that menopausal women are still involved in the social rearing of children? It's because that's the only function that they can serve within a society. That's their primary function within a society. Now, where this comes from is back in the turn of the century, anthropologists were talking about, well, why is it that black people are taller, denser muscles? They must be good for labor. Why is it that Hispanic people tend to be smaller and run faster? That's because they must be good for labor. Why is it that white people have bigger heads? It's because we're the thinking man. We're the one who, right. That's what biologic essentialism is. Biologic essentialism says that Laura is only good for producing babies as a woman. That's her only use. Because the only thing that we need to be concerned about as a society is perpetuating the species. And J.D. Vance is talking to Eric Weinstein about this. And the reason it's so bad, the reason it's so gross, is because you know who was a big old fan of biologic essentialism?
No.
The Nazis. They loved it. They couldn't get enough of it. This is why they told German women, your primary responsibility to the German state is to have children.
Make little Germans, you bet.
Is to have beautiful, pure
yeah.
German children. And this is why it's so unbelievably gross to have this conversation and to reduce the complexity of women down to child rearing. We're talking about people like Marie Curie. We're talking about Jane Goodall, right? We're talking about people who have made tremendous advancements in society. Even take people you don't like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Well, that's
right?
something I do like, but I see your point.
Sandra
I take your point.
Sandra Day O'Connor.
Sandy O'Connor, you bet.
You take anybody you want. Take Janet Reno. Any woman out there throughout history. The idea that she should be reduced down to her, not only her womb, but then when her womb is no longer functioning, down to child rearing is unbelievably insulting and weird. But it exists on the internet largely amongst MAGA people because MAGA as a movement is a regressive and reactionary movement which seeks to, quote unquote, put women in their place. Ultimately.
Harken back to a romanticized version of when America was, dare I say, great.
Exactly.
And make America great again, in air quotes.
Exactly.
And this is the whole "we're not going back" movement that Harris and her campaign is putting up placards behind the grandstand.
Who's that weirdo MAGA radio host that we were making fun of like 6 months ago who said that women shouldn't be allowed to vote? There's a black guy.
Oh, Wilburn?
You know, he was the former NFL commentator who then got kicked off of ESPN.
Yeah, I think his name's Wilburn.
I'm not sure, but he was the guy who went up there on,
I can see his face,
on the stage, and he said that the primary purpose for women is to have children, and that likely women should not. He said that he cares much more about life than suffrage, meaning that the only reason that we have abortion as a society is because women are allowed to vote. This is why when people say, Jack, why are you so mean to MAGA people, is because I know them better than they know themselves, and I know the crazy ideas that they think about, and so I don't have any respect for anybody that isn't in alignment with that movement. Laura, did you find that guy? He said that he cares more about suffrage cares more about life than suffrage.
I remember it happening, and I know I have the audio, so I'm scanning for it, but I can't find it.
Yeah, this is just an unbelievably weird and awkward and backwards way of thinking. And our country, Whitlock. Yeah, Jason Whitlock.
I will defend life before suffrage, because a vote used to represent the family. When we were a culture that really valued family and really understood the natural order.
See that?
That God intended.
Biologic
man
essentialism.
Serving God, woman following man who serves God, man and woman developing and nurturing children. You only needed one vote per household.
Yep.
Because that vote was about the entire family, as they have destroyed our family structure and made this all an individual pursuit.
Fun note.
Now everybody has to have a vote.
Fun note about Jason Whitlock. I don't know if you guys know this. Anybody want to guess how many children Jason Whitlock has? Laura?
Oh, man. I kind of hope it's 0.
Oh, good guess.
I'm going
Spike?
to guess 6.
Oh, you guys, one of us is the winner. One of us is the loser.
Oh.
Laura Scott with the win. Jason
How did I
Whitlock
know?
does not have any children. He is not married.
I wonder why.
But yet he spouts this Nazi trash.
It's a mystery.
Right?
And it's not far from, the nuclear family credos that Vance is putting out every time he...
It's 1-to-1.
I know they're digging up all these old footage. They're doing op-ed, or what do they call it? Oppo research, opposition, yeah. But this is who the guy is and what he believes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's changed his points of view and his political points of view, particularly as necessity has dictated throughout the last half century or half decade, last 4 or 5 years. But this is who the guy is. And I get that Meemaw raised him when his mom wasn't able to, and I get the value of grandmas and the whole 9 yards. But some ladies like to make their own calls in life and pursue the things that make them happy, not just
if
make
I have
them
anything to say about it.
You go, buddy. You go, man.
No, I don't like suffrage. I'm with Jason Whitlock. Voting is for men only.
I like
He-Man
cold cuts
Women's
and
Hater
cannot
Club
lie.
forever.
Yeah. Oh, man.
American weddings are shrinking. Laura cares about this. I don't. Laura, is this because I got divorced? Is this why you're bringing this up to me?
No, I'm curious about Spike's daughter getting married, how much it's costing. And I want to make my own argument for why I don't want to have a wedding.
Can we get my daughter on the phone before you do that?